Okay, well, hopefully some others will join us in a minute. So I put something on the agenda today, basically to go through where we are on the things we said we do, because I think we're way behind on a lot of things. So I want to do a recalibration and see what we're actually going to get done. But if there's anything else that anyone wants to talk about first, maybe we should do that. Is there anyone out there that wants to talk about something before we start going through our work items?
No, I think this is good.
Okay. Okay, so where are we with request path classification? Niraj, do you want to provide a summary? And
so with request classification, we have decided to kind of split the paths, and I'm just working on formalizing that the underlying API, and I'll send a PR in proxy, and we can just move the discussion on the PR now instead of the doc, because I think the doc was directionally okay in terms of the underlying API. Now we just need the specifics. So once that's done and just the classifier is implemented, we'll have to update the stats plugin and the stack driver plugin to take advantage of that.
okay, and we're still on track for finishing the classifier portions for 1.6, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think for 1.6, I would say hopefully the P0 goal is that envoy filter works.
Yep.
And a stretch goal would be if we can actually write a tool to convert from the open API spec.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the bug, actually you should refer to the bug as well here, but that has a big list actually, yes, and there are many other things on that list which looks like are at risk now.
Okay. If you have the bug, please feel free to link it there.
Yeah.
Okay. What about conformance testing? I know we added the black hole cluster and pass-through tests. Have we done anything else of note here? Anyone?
That's the one that was big on our agenda, at least. I don't know about anyone else.
Okay. I know we've been working on some of the WASM extension tests infrastructure. Do you think it's worth calling out here, Mandar, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. So the work that Peter is doing. It's not in any kind of level of completion. Well, so the underlying thing works. That's what is being used, but we are going to move it to a different repo potentially and make it more usable. That work still remains to be done.
And we think, but like by 3 weeks from now or something, it might be there, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What do we want to say about the extensions API? I know that there's been a lot of discussions about that. How are we feeling?
I don't think we can make it up. Sorry, Mandar, go ahead.
Yeah, so the extensions API is definitely fallen behind. No progress.
So we should definitely not make it a P0 for 1.6 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So WASM, okay, so WASM distribution. So WASM distribution is a P0, and actually there is a cache. So caching remote fetcher will be implemented, and that is expected for 1.6. And once we have a caching remote fetcher, we can for any sort of reasonable installation, we can just use the caching remote fetcher along with putting extensions inside the container. So we'll have both sides reasonably covered.
Okay.
Mandar, so and how will users configure it? As in,
Users will still configure it using Envoy Filter API like they do today.
okay, they can just fetch new extensions by pointing to their GitHub repo or something like that.
Yeah, so they need to point to the raw.wasm file, and then those extensions can be fetched.
And how will users provide those raw WASM URLs? Is that interface defined?
Yeah, so the API is already there. In fact, we can already use it. The issue is that it's not reliable because it doesn't do caching, and the work item here is to add a cache in front of that. So not every listener fetches its own extension. It just fetches it once and it's done. We need to document that. So I guess all your questions were regarding that. So we need to document how to use it.
Yeah, I think documentation is probably a requirement for all of these things, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we had any updates to telemetry customization? Fuad, are you on the call? I don't.
Yeah,
think you are.
I'm working on several PRs. So there's a PR open in proxy to use flat buffers that I need to depend on.
Okay.
So after that, we'll just be able to use the data from the flat buffers.
So this takes care of using metadata in mapping, right?
Yes.
But if you add labels, we still have to go through. So we still don't have a good way to add new labels without going through considerable trouble. And I think we should move that out of P0. I think that was also part of this work, but do you think we can get that? Otherwise, we'll just move it out.
Well, without an extensions API, we can make just incremental progress there. Maybe clean up the annotation requirement on the pods.
Yeah, can we just do that? That will really help Quad. If you can clean up the
Yeah.
annotation requirements.
So we can make some incremental changes that helps, but not really change it.
I think there are two pieces of this which we can do without extensions API. One is the requirement for changing the bootstrap config, and the second is what you said, changing the requirement for adding annotations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, but we expect to do those two things by 1.6?
Yeah, the annotation is just a injector change, so it should be, I can do it soon.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think anyone has started working on in proxy metrics expiry. Is that correct, or am I off base on that?
What is this feature? Can you explain? I don't even remember.
So when we were using Mixer, we added some stuff to the Prometheus adapter, that after 10 minutes, if there was a particular combination of, like, say, service A talking to service B, and that hadn't happened for 10 minutes, we removed those metrics from Mixer, so they weren't continuing to get reported. That functionality does not exist in the Envoy-based extensions. So once you record an event, you continue to report it, albeit at a zero delta for forever. So this was about trying to find a way to no longer report things that aren't valid or irrelevant. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. I didn't know that feature gap was existing in V2. That's interesting. Does anyone know how much work this is?
My understanding was it was a decently chunky bit of work.
Yeah, it's non-trivial work. Is Peter on the call?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, yeah. Do you have an idea of how much work this is? I think it is non-trivial work, right?
I think John is. Has John put any effort on it? I mean, the WebAssembly layer. I think he is adding some logic there to, or is it still planned, not implemented at all? I think it shouldn't be that hard, right? We already have a plan. Is that right?
Right. So do we want to keep it P0 or not? And okay, so the same thing for Stackdriver is completely different though. Okay, that's right, because that goes through open census. So the question is, do we still keep it as P0? I think there is plenty of other P0s.
I agree. So for Prometheus, it looks like, I guess we are back. So Stackdriver goes through open census, which means there's an open census collector which can do these type of things. In that model, is the open census collector not considered equivalent of a mixer? As in, is it not going to be the same resource hog, or people are okay with that kind of deployment?
So OpenSys is running inside it's acting as a client. Like we don't need any agent. So OpenSys has a client, like compiled within proxy, which could report directly to Stackdriver. There's no middle. Yeah.
And that has these kind of features that will expire things.
Actually, it doesn't.
No, that doesn't either. So that's also additional work.
I see.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's fair to just say we don't expect to have this by 1.6, and if we do, that's a bonus, but it's not a top priority. Jacob or Niraj, you want to talk about tracing?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah. So kind of based on the email that was going around, it being a first-class API, I guess, is or part of the extensions API or telemetry API. If it's not going to fit in the extensions, that's going to be a work in progress. So kind of the support that is intended that I'm working on right now actually is to add an annotation, probably to the sidecar API. I'm guessing I still need to kind of figure out where it is I'm going to be kind of adding this support for an annotation and then putting it in. But I believe it's on track.
Okay. Jacob, just one thing on this. Let's make sure we have a mesh wide setting along with overrides if needed. So we can keep like mesh config maybe as a P0, and then if we get annotations, that can be P1. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds great.
Prometheus Annotations, I think this work is being done right now. So I think this is mostly, I don't know if that PR went in or not, but I think that this is basically done. So on track. 6. Requested service information.
I will look into it this week and we start to implement it. Yeah.
We expect that to be 1.6, right?
Yeah, right.
So this is different from canonical service, and we need this in addition with request path classification. Do they all coincide somehow? I'm trying to see if we can leverage work from one for the other, or is this completely separate?
I think it's completely separate. Like I'm not sure whether Kiali folks are on the call. I see Jay. But I think it's about like virtual service and destination rule. Like how can we get that piece of information into Matrix? I haven't looked more deep into the requirements, but yeah, we can think maybe I can CC you on bug on the issue, and we can discuss there if you're interested. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just to review, this was the idea of providing not only the destination information, but the originally requested information. So if workload A requests workload B, or sorry, service B, but then a virtual service steps in and redirects it somewhere else. Today we get that redirect, right? We get the final destination, but we don't know what the original request was. And so that's what we're looking for, so that we can try to visualize where that rerouting takes place.
I see. And Peter, this will be implemented only in V2?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's expected.
Okay. It's a lot of exciting to have that done, because I know that that's been a long-standing request. Do we have any updates on rate limiting? I know Nooper had looked at this.
Yeah, I don't think Nupur has. No, I don't think it has moved forward.
Multi-cluster telemetry support. We have documentation and testing now.
That's for telemetry or for everything?
Well, probably for everything. We didn't do anything special for telemetry, so I guess that question remains. Do we think we need to do more in terms of providing cluster information, or no? But we definitely wrote docs on how to do how to monitor multi-cluster environments.
As far as I know, multi-cluster telemetry just does not work still. As in, like you said, it misses cluster information. So how can you make sense of it? Like, how do you even know if you are optionally getting routed from one cluster to the other? Without cluster information, how do you differentiate?
Yes, that's a good point. There is no way to, well, you can, there is a way to do that. No, there's not really a good way, because we're not passing any of the cluster information in the metadata that's being exchanged. So you don't know that your source came from a different cluster. So I guess
I think you can see just that it's, in one place you can see where it's leaving, and another place you can see that it's coming in, but you can't tie it together.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I personally don't think telemetry works for multi-cluster in my definition of working.
Okay. That's fair. So I guess the question is, do we want to add cluster information to the metadata, and where is that going to come from?
Yes, but I don't think for 1.6. Again, I don't think I will have time to add it in 1.6. I know what's that company's name? The company which created the initial operator for Istio, they had this working. Banzai, is that?
Yeah. They had this working.
Yeah, they were trying to. So because of the time zone issues, they weren't able to attend our meetings, but they had told me that they were going to submit a PR in Istio because they had fixed this for their operator. They were passing the cluster information down. We should see if any one of them are willing to contribute their work. But again, that might be for V1. I don't think they have anything for V2 at least.
Yeah, for V1 and Mixer, we had a way of doing this based on you were like configuring pointing at different Kube API servers, and you could use the names there to get a cluster approximation.
Yeah, for V2, I don't think anyone
Yeah,
has
I
this
don't know. So we probably need a design doc, right? Maybe we'll have an idea of what to do about 1.6. Okay. Alignment with the better networking proposal. Do we think we?
Yeah, I think even this hasn't moved yet.
What is this? Sorry, this is a long list.
Yeah, so,
It is
so
a long
this-
list.
So right. So this one. So this one is there is the better networking proposal, right, or better security proposal, which uses HTTP Connect to initiate connections and all that, and that has significant repercussions on how we exchange metadata. So we had added this to make sure that we keep abreast of what's going on there. But I think that and I guess Neeraj, you can tell me, but it looks like that work is still in kind of design level stage. So we don't have, so we are not very. So it's fine. Like even if we don't do it in 1.6, it's okay because the source of that thing hasn't moved so much, as far as I know.
So from networking working group, I can say for 1.6, our priority for better transport security or better transport is getting a demo done for 1.6. So I think it looks like once after the demo is done and we have reasonable confidence that we can make it work, networking and policy should sync up. So you're correct. After 1.6 only.
Cool. I don't think there's been any progress on Stackdriver TCP telemetry. Does that sound fair to everyone?
Yeah, I think it's no progress.
This we're done, right? Oh, sorry.
What does it mean? Like, what is expected to progress?
I think this was adding support for connections opened and connections closed reporting. TCP. Is that right, Peter?
Yes, I think so. Like, there's some TCP metrics that Prometheus gets reported. Prometheus metrics gets reported. We want the same TCP metric gets reported for Stackdriver. That is what it is about, I think. But yeah, there's no progress on that.
Black hole V2 telemetry. This is done, right?
This is done. And Jacob, did you merge it in 1.5 also? I know there were some failures in the PR.
So I was actually gonna ping Francois. There's like a Google CLA like issue or whatever. But I need to get it merged into 1.5. If we actually also want to do it with metadata filter exchange, then that's actually probably additional work. Or
let's hold on to that work. So Mandar shared a very meta document called Unified Black Hole Approach. I saw the title and I was laughing. No offense, Mandar. But I think he has some ideas there. I think that's more reasonable than using anything, than relying anyway from control plane. So for 1.6, I think we should say we are done.
Okay, sounds good. All right, yeah, then I'll just ping Francois about 1.5.
Configurable Telemma with config metadata. I don't think there's been any progress here other than the work that's being done on configurable telemetry, right?
Yeah, we have.
Improve, update dashboards, include publishing. I think this is still in progress, but there have been lots of updates. We now publish too, right? So we now publish to Cortana.org. So I think we're in good shape for 1.6 where that is. TLS telemetry.
There's no progress here.
Yeah.
And
unlikely for 1.6, right?
Yeah, I also don't know. Like the question says with auto MTLS, how many customers use auto MTLS versus they have the same problems as before? Like, I don't even know if this feature makes sense anymore.
Okay. Good. Let's not spend cycles on it then right now. Ingress, egress reassessments. I still think that is an open item that no one has fully tackled. What would you agree with that?
Yeah, there's no progress on this.
Progress. Demonstration with an open census agent. Is this still a priority? I forget when this was added or what the thinking behind this was.
So it's no longer P0 for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it was a P0 to begin with. So I just copied everything from the spreadsheet here.
By the time we start working on it, it will be, OC agent probably.
The C will be replaced with a T, right? Okay, HTTP telemetry for unnamed ports. Is there anyone working on this at all?
So someone has to explain to me, is this only applicable when you have outbound or inbound protocol sniffing turned on? Like, what is the problem here? I'm not sure.
Let's see. I actually don't remember what the motivation was here.
So this is if the ports are not named, then we don't get HTTP telemetry for those ports, right? We treat them as TCP.
No, not now. If you have sniffing turned on.
No. So okay, networking doesn't. So networking does use downstream protocol, but we don't we don't collect the stats there, and I think there was some work item in networking which was going to make this automagic, as far as I remember. So I said, okay, well, we don't need to do anything here. But as it stands today, if use downstream protocol is enabled and we don't
V2 it should just work.
It doesn't. No, it won't work, right? Because HCM is not put in there, right?
I think it should just work too.
It is. That's what I'm saying. It will. Quad is right. We put HCM in all the filter chains. So based on sniffing, if the sniffer decides that it's HTTP, you will have HCM. And you will have the Mixer V2 stats filter.
Okay.
So maybe the only action is to test that this works, to validate that this works. And just check this off.
Okay, that's yep.
Quick question, Mandar. Were you were thinking of both outbound and inbound, right? Or the directionality, does it matter in this case?
Both are outbound and inbound, correct.
And the last thing that we had on our list of things that we wanted to look at was out of mesh endpoint telemetry. And I don't know that we've made any real progress or we even have the right idea for prioritization here. Does anyone feel differently?
I mean, it's important and it's lost in function from V1, but not a P0. I don't know, like someone from outside Google, Neeraj.
Sorry, I was muted. So again, these were added later on in the list. So explain to me a little bit what is the user-facing benefits for this?
With Bixer V1, right, we had this kubeinv adapter, so that if traffic came in from a source that wasn't reporting attributes or something, right, we could look up the pod information and label the traffic according to the workloads that it came from. And same thing for outgoing, right? If it went to some place that wasn't there wasn't a proxy there, we could still tell you a little bit about it. And now with the V2 architecture, we don't have any way to look up information about sources that we don't have information on.
Okay, so in my mind, all of these are feature gaps in V2 versus V1. Is that fair to say? Okay. I mean, leaving aside prioritization, I would have assumed that we want the feature parity unless someone says either it's impossible or it's not useful. For me, this is useful because we have some customers who will have legacy clients which won't have sidecars.
Yeah, so I think we agree that it's useful and that it's a feature gap and that it should be closed. It's been unclear, I think, to me what priority we're assigning to it and whether or not we should, like, how actively we should be pursuing closing that gap.
Do we have even solutions? I don't think there's a good solution for this problem.
Yeah, there's really we don't have a good one outlined. The Auto Trader and others that I know have been using sort of workarounds inside of Prometheus by knowing by sort of knowing a couple special endpoints, but I don't think there's a general solution that we've presented or hit upon yet.
So I mean, I guess because this was lower down the priority for 1.6, I guess it's not going to get done. It's for 1.7. Let's create an RFC for it at least.
This gap may explain a recent crash that we had reported in Kiali. I'm not sure actually, but what we ended up having, we saw a time series where the source workload namespace was set, but no other source information was set in Istio request total. So we got this source namespace, and then we in Kiali had assumed that there would also be a source workload set, yet it wasn't. There was no canonical service. I mean, that was unknown. The workload was unknown. So we don't really have any, I don't know if that's this or not, but it sounded maybe like it was this. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't even expect source namespace, Jay.
Yeah, I would have thought it would. I agree. It was very strange. We're going to treat it like bad telemetry and discard it until we know what's going on there.
Yeah, that's really strange.
In the past, we've seen, straight unknown, right? Where you just everything, the source is unknown. That's fine. We expect that coming in from the wild. But I've never seen that where you have a namespace set and nothing else. I think it might just be a corner case, some kind of bad scraping or something. I don't know.
Mandar and Doug, can you explain, like, is this something that, sorry,
Is
is a
this something
problem?
what?
Is this a problem for like Google customers? Like, have much of the GKE customers, do you know, switched to V2, and are they complaining about this, or we don't have visibility?
Well, there are definitely a few customers that have complained about it, but so a few have definitely complained about it. Like outbound out of mesh, we can kind of get halfway there. Inbound out of mesh with permissive, we have no visibility whatsoever. But I believe, Doug, the complaint that we had before was for outbound, right?
Right. So, the one customer was able to work around it for outbound. And I mean, I developed sort of a hacky filter that you could shove in there to also fix the outbound, but the inbound is the real issue that we don't have any idea about how to solve. But
some customers also complained about not having metadata. They don't want telemetry for the inbound because they intentionally don't want to put the workload into the mesh. So we have
the client into the mesh, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen, I think Yahoo has a big deployment where they have some of these things. Okay. Well, I guess we should have put this higher up. We missed it.
Okay. Well, that's all. That's thank you for everyone for going through that. I know it's sort of painful to go through it, but I wanted to make sure we were all sort of on the same page with what was being done. Is there anything else that anyone thinks we should talk about or discuss or track?
Hey, just one thing around who is doing what in this list, Doug. So for tracing configurability, I think Jacob and I will be working on it. Mandar, do you need any help for request path classification, or you have a good handle on it?
I think that, let me check. If I think it should be okay right now, but if I do, I'll put a message in the group chat by tomorrow.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else that we think we should talk about this week, or should we all get back to sheltering in place?
Mandar, do you want to discuss your other proposal, or we can do it after 1.6?
Yeah, we can discuss it here, or we can just discuss it in the networking group. That's okay too.
You're talking about I was talking about the unified black hole.
Oh yeah. So okay, so the unified black hole, since it affects, I guess functionally it affects networking more, I just put it in that work group. So it's actually on the agenda for tomorrow there.
I see. Do you want any agreement in the telemetry first?
Yeah, let's. Okay. Yeah, let's add it here. So basically, the issue so far with black hole telemetry has been that there are many ways to denote a black hole, and we need to adjust in the extensions. We need to play catch up with all those different methods of denoting a black hole. So what we are going to do, or what the proposal is that we use response flag NR, which was the original Envoy response flag, which denotes that there is no route, right? Which is actually exactly what a black hole is. There is no route, and there is no route because of lack of configuration. That is exactly what it means. So we are proposing that we use that NR flag uniformly in Istio to denote black holes. and that way the filters and the data plane, all they need to do is check for the presence of the NR flag. It also means that any of our metrics that actually record response flags will have NR as the correct response flag, which means you can filter it in with just that as well. So it just simplifies it just simplifies things on the data plane and makes the extensions not depend on implementation of the control plane. So and then I think the we will have to do, I mean, we will maintain backwards compatibility. If people still rely on the black hole name, we can still stick it in there or something like that. But what I really feel is that once you have NR as the response flag, like you can just use that on the dashboard as well.
I think this makes complete sense. The only question that you might get from some of the other networking folks will be, is there any downside to add that terminating network filter apart from the Envoy directly just doing it without an additional filter? As in, are there performance implications? I don't think so, but
yeah, I mean,
also,
because the thing is being denied anyway. I don't see any performance implications there. That filter hasn't gone through any serious testing, right? I mean, like Quad just merged it a month ago, so
Yeah, but it's like really 2 lines of code.
right,
But
exactly.
just
So
code
it's
connection.
not it doesn't do a whole lot, so we don't expect it to have anything. But we can put some put some test behind it and say, okay, it can do whatever,
So
1,000.
I think a better way would be just to not put a filter to begin with. Just have an empty drop in there's no filter chain matching particular destination. That would be better than running a filter. But between running a filter and sending traffic to some empty cluster, I would prefer running a filter. Because running a cluster actually has a lot more performance implications.
so that's interesting. So basically, Quat, what you are saying is, if we can have this functionality in Envoy itself without the filter.
We have it. I already did it. So if you don't have a filter chain that matches, it will report NR.
For TCP?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, so Mandar, can you explain then? So I'm a little confused. Do we have to add this additional terminating filter or not?
Additional which filter?
The terminating network filter.
So if there is a way to do it without the terminating filter, that's okay too. But we have it, and we can just make it uniform, or that way. But I mean, so if Envoy itself encounters an NR situation where there is legitimately no route, Envoy just sets the flag itself. Now the issue there is that there won't be, like, our filters will completely be missing from that NR flag. Like we won't see that, right? If in that filter chain stats filter, for example, is not present at all, then we don't catch that telemetry.
So we can change that too. Actually, we can put stats into the listener level, so we'll catch.
Right. Yeah,
but it's more work. Yeah. So depending whether we finish this, we should switch to that. I mean, there's also the issue that the networking hasn't switched to using filter chains to begin with. So kind of the discussion is kind of until that happens, it's kind of moot to depend on that. So once they do, then we can do that reorganization.
I see. So basically what we are saying is, if we want this for 1.7, I'm guessing this is not for 1.6. If FCM doesn't land completely, then we will add this filter for now.
Yeah, because it's much closer to existing model and it's safer.
Yep.
But once they reorganize to use FCM, then we should just not have direct network filter.
Yeah, I think this should be a good enhancement. I don't have any concerns other than that.
Would we also see the NR response flag on pass through? Is it independent of? No. Okay.
No. So for a successful request, we shouldn't see the NR response flag.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, no. The way it stands right now, we won't. Would you like? Is that something? Is that something you
No,
would like?
it's not. No. I was just curious. Where
Okay.
I didn't know. Based on the policy of allow any and registry only. I didn't know if first you'd set the NR flag and then you'd decide which way it was going to go, or if this is just my lack of understanding of where things happen, and that's all I was asking.
Okay.
I'm not asking for that flag on pass-through or
Okay.
not.
Okay. Cool.
Just curious. I would ask though that the downstream resulting request telemetry still set black hole cluster on the service name like it does today. If is that anticipated?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the expectation.
Okay.
But Mandar, Jay did bring an interesting point. So we will still have the asymmetry for allow any. That means so for allow any, we still have to rely on control plane.
Wait. So allow any and okay. I'm not sure. I fully understand.
So when will you make the destination service name equals pass through?
Oh,
in V2.
Destination service equals pass through. Right. So when we see the original destination cluster, yeah. So I think there. Well, okay. I think that's a good point. We do need to think about that a little bit, because the original destination. So I suppose there can be other clusters that are also passed through. Original destination. And the question is original, whenever you hit original destination, is that the same as pass through? Like, did we just create a new name for it, just like black hole? Or is it more specific?
That's interesting. There can be service entries or explicit destination rules. I don't think we allow destination rules to have pass through, or I'm forgetting. I think there is a Istio API in which users can explicitly configure pass through if they want. Or original dest, sorry. So I don't know. That's a good question. Is original dest equivalent to pass through in all cases?
Right, because what we found was NR is equivalent to black hole, right? Which is what we're trying to formalize now. So the question is, though you may still want, yeah. Okay. So I think we need to. That's a good point. We need to figure it out.
Yeah, and Coat also might have some ideas around it.
Yeah.
Making it uniform will be very easy and a good simplification on our side, and from telemetry point of view.
Right. Okay. Anything else? I think we're kind of at the end of it anyway. So yeah, so we'll present this tomorrow at the networking group.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't know if anyone else has something they want to raise or something that came up. Okay. Well, I guess see you all online or in 2 weeks.
Yep. Stay safe. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.